oxytocin is being reduced.
Yeah.
Because the oxytocin is a hormone that allows
Come on,
women...
doctor.
I've learned a lot in this person. And this midwife, this midwife, let me talk about her. But she also needs answers that she's not able to ask you, so I am here.
It wasn't that extreme, but Mr. Deku right here likes to be front and center. That made us really come to the conclusion that these doctors, they have the best intentions, but it's not necessarily the best intentions for us.
Hey Deku fam.
Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back.
We're back with another video, and in this video we're talking about why we've decided to have a home birth after a cesarean.
First of all, it was why you decided we're having a home birth after cesarean, and I've slowly got on board. I was panicking. I was like, babe, you are absolutely nuts. The hospital is the safest environment for you and the baby.
Yeah.
You've had a C-section. Everyone's talking now you've got a high-risk pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I was panicking. So after a process of education, reflection, etc., we've now concluded that a home birth is probably the most suitable environment for us and our family. And yeah, we're just excited to kind of share what led to that decision and why we decided to have a home birth after a cesarean section.
Yep, so let's get into the video and tell you why. Okay, so the first reason we've decided to have a home birth after a cesarean section is because of the environment.
Yeah.
I will be in my home, living my best life, having my contractions with the people, the environment that I am used to.
Yeah, definitely. If we look back at Jerry's process, there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
First, it's getting to the hospital, and then you're trying to think
sure.
about, you want to be 4 centimeters dilated. And because 4 centimeters dilation in the UK is when they say that you're in active labor and therefore you can go to the labor ward.
Yeah.
And if you're not 4 centimeters, they will actually tell you to go back home. So there's a lot of pressure. Then we're at 4 centimeters dilated. Then Anna failed to progress by the next morning.
Yeah.
So they said that she actually went back to 3 centimeters dilation, which is like even quite subjective because the way that they even do it is just through fingers, open, open, open.
Yeah.
Everyone's fingers are different and it's quite subjective.
Yeah.
So now being in an environment that is comfortable, it removes the pressure of having to be a certain number, having to feel like you need to progress at their timing and not allowing the natural process to occur.
Yeah.
And all this thing, the most important thing is that oxytocin is being reduced.
Yeah.
Because the oxytocin is a hormone that allows
Come on,
women...
doctor.
I've learned a lot in this person. Oxytocin is a hormone that allows the pregnancy to occur.
Yeah.
But pressure reduces that oxytocin. So I want Anna to be in an environment where she feels comfortable. So oxytocin
Can increase.
Yeah,
honestly, the hospital environment is very formula driven because they've got masses of pregnant women and they need to create a formula that works so that they can manage the amount of people that are coming, manage, the decisions that they make and take the personalization out of it. But a home environment really brings that back in because we believe that each individual body is unique.
Yeah.
Like there's no such thing as failure to progress. It's just progressing at a different rate or pace than someone else's. And we got to the hospital, we were so excited, went from a high of being 4 centimeters, and then we went to a low because 12 hours later, they're saying I failed to progress. And then you're moved into another room where you've got a different type of care from an individual. And it's just a lot of variables. And I think in the home environment, it's somewhere that you're used to. It's somewhere where you have the freedom to actually progress at the rate that your body is telling you to.
And because you're in that home environment, you will probably progress faster because you're more comfortable.
And there's so many things that increase your oxytocin, like having low lights, having familiarity of care, having pictures of your partner and your children around. And those are things that we can really create in the home environment, and we're not trying to counteract or challenge hospitals about how they want to do things because it's my environment, we're the ones in control. So we think that the environment is extremely important. Definitely. So yeah, that's one reason why we've decided to have a home birth. Another reason we've decided to have a home birth after a C-section is because of the personalised care that you receive.
Yeah, definitely.
The hospital that we're aligned to, they have a home birthing team. And from the beginning of when you're booked on with them, you're seeing the same midwives right the way through. And they're the same midwives that actually come to your home when you have the birth.
Yeah.
And that continuation of care has been absolutely key in our journey to feeling comfortable about having a home birth.
They don't only have a home birth team, they have a VBAC specialist team as well, who are used to helping women go through this process. And also, as Anna said, that because of that continuation of care, there's also reason to suggest that the care that you receive from the same person from beginning to end, you're more likely to be just more comfortable in the environment, etc. Because when you go on a labour ward, for example, you're seeing a random midwife throughout the whole process. And then when you get to actual delivery, it's someone completely different. But we will have the same continuation of care, plus our doula as well. So it's like, hopefully that will mean that Anna will feel very encouraged, supported, and just ready to deliver this child vaginally.
And it's really important for me to know that the person who I originally spoke to about my intentions, about the type of birth that I want, what's important to me, basically our birth plan, is the same team that are going to see me through to the end. So it's not going to be new information when they come to the house and are trying to support me in my home birth. They would have already known me, they'll know exactly what my preferences are. We would have built a rapport. So for them, they will feel more comfortable because it's not something new for them. I'll feel more comfortable because I know them. And again, that will enable us to have the type of delivery that we want. Because when we think back to Jerry and the way that we delivered him, obviously we saw an initial midwife to do the assessment to see how dilated I was. Then I had the midwife that was on shift from the night time. And then in the daytime, a new midwife came on, but she moved us onto another ward.
And this midwife, this midwife, let me talk about her. I think she has something against men. Like, she was just not on me whatsoever. And every time I tried to have a conversation with her, because obviously Anna was really tired, really tired. And I'll try and speak. She's like, no, I don't want to speak to you, I want to speak to your wife. I'm like, why can't I speak? She's tired, she's sleeping, but she also needs answers that she's not able to ask you. So I am here.
It wasn't that extreme, but Mr. Deku right here likes to be front and center. She wasn't that extreme, but she wasn't an advocate for the type of birth that we wanted. She wanted to do an assessment. We were like, no, we actually want minimal intervention. She's
constantly just throwing. She was a drug dealer as well. She was literally throwing drugs. Would you like this? Would you like that? Would you like this? Would you like that?
And we said, maybe we're further along than you think. And she was like, no, you'd be, if you were further along,
I have seen so many women, and if you were further along, I would know. You're not showing any signs of progression, only because Anna was dealing with the contractions really well. Because when we were going into the process, we were like, babe, you are a boss. You can do this. Just firm it. The contractions last for what? 1 minute to 3 minutes? I don't know. Like a short period of time. Like, let's firm it. And then let's go. So Anna was doing so well, like with the contractions, handling it so well. So because she's now doing it well, the woman's like, nah, you're not progressing. Like, you're not in enough pain. Like, what does that mean? As a result of the lack of continuous care, like, we didn't know which midwife we were getting and when. We're kind of a slave to the doctors in terms of their advice about what we do, where we go. Yes, we understand they're short-staffed as well, so that's a factor. So you're just sort of, you don't know what's coming, and I think the issue with... It's a luck of the draw, basically. And we don't want that to be part of our birth story. So being at home, having the home birthing midwifery team, having our doula, having my husband, like, these are people who I know, I'm familiar with. They understand the type of care that I want. They understand our preferences. They're not going to be asking the question constantly, do you want medication, do you want medication, because we've said that's not what we want. So it's just creating the environment and the continuous care that we desire so that we can have a home birth and a vaginal birth after a C-section. And another reason, a very important reason we've chosen to have a home birth after a C-section is because it results in minimal intervention. 100%. Like, from my experience of being in the hospital, I felt like some of the midwives were pretty much drug dealers. They were offering drugs just like it was just casual. Because
it's so interesting because one midwife was just like, you're doing so well.
Oh yeah. The first one was fantastic.
She was fantastic, like getting the shower.
That other one, the one that we didn't really gel, like, she was literally just, But I feel like doctors and some midwives are doing their best, but really and truly, they're under-resourced, understaffed, and they just want to get women in and out just really quickly. That's what it felt from our experience anyway. And they were offering Anna all these things to help her progress along and not allowing her body to actually push the baby out naturally at her own time. And therefore, what we also realized over time is that once you go on this conveyor belt of intervention, you kind of go on a slipstream to need an intervention to get the baby out. The woman was kind of hovering over Anna all the time, and Anna ended up taking this. What was it?
It was like a morphine equivalent. Because I was extremely tired and she didn't believe that we were far progressed. So she said, if you want to sleep, you could just take this morphine.
Which we had a conversation between ourselves that we're not going to do it. But then because she was so tired and because it felt like almost the pressure to take this thing, Anna was like, I'm going to take it. And you know what she said to me? She said, don't get involved. This is her body. Even though we've had a conversation between ourselves, or this. Anyway.
We can tell someone's still quite triggered by the experience. But yeah, it started with that medication, and then that did give me an opportunity to sleep. And then a new midwife came in the evening. Then she wanted to just double check how the baby's doing and put the continuous monitoring machine on, which is another form of intervention. And that continuous monitoring machine is what indicated that Jerry's heart rate was dropping and not recovering well. And she called all the, pressed the emergency alarm, called the doctors, they ran in, they checked me, they're like, oh, she's 8 centimeters dilated, why is she here, what's going on, we didn't know she was this far along, the best case is to have a C-section. And then that's how the C-section occurred, even though we rejected it initially.
And sometimes it is shown that when babies are obviously in the stomach or in the womb, with contractions, the heart rate reduces, but it bounces back up. And that's what Jerry's was doing. His heart rate would drop, and it bounced back up. So fetal monitoring was detecting something, but the extent to what it was detecting, like he was actually in distress. Like when he came out,
he was chilling.
He was calm.
He was so
and
happy.
Now knowing Jerry's personality, he doesn't like too much stress. So the contraction, he was like, Mum, allow it, leave it, kind of things.
And they do have great intentions with these continuous monitoring machines, and it does save lives in a percentage of cases, and that's what it's there for. But we do believe that intervention is overused in the Western world, and that intervention enables, decisions to be made that are not necessarily best for the scenario. And we feel like in our personal scenario, that C-section wasn't necessary. So we want to be in an environment where actually that intervention is very unlikely to happen. When you're in a home birth environment, the only heart rate monitor machine that they have is a Doppler, and they check it after a contraction has happened. And there's so much data to support why a home birth is the best environment to reduce intervention. And that's what we've decided to do. And another reason, the final reason we're having a home birth after a C-section is because after Jerry's birth, we were still unable to get answers to our question, why was the C-section necessary?
Yeah, like after, when we came home and we had some time to reflect, we were like still uncomfortable and uneasy with the fact that Anna had a C-section. So we raised a request to the hospital to request our notes. This is things that people don't even know that they can do.
Yeah, a subject access request to get the notes back from your delivery, the detailed notes that the doctors have.
And we also requested to have a meeting with somebody in the hospital to explain why a C-section occurred. It was a good conversation.
An hour long with a head consultant.
Yeah, with the head consultant, had a really good conversation. And when we were like really pushing, like, why did we have a C-section? Was it necessary? What he was alluding to was the fact that the NHS are underfunded, therefore under-resourced, and the maternity unit is the unit in the hospital that is getting sued the most. If a baby passes away or something happens to a mother, there is a straight investigation that occurs and people are getting sued and therefore they have to pay out a lot of money. Therefore, they feel like they need to also intervene to prevent those things from happening. Because Anna's had a C-section, which is not the end of the world, but we've still got our son and Anna's still here. So in the great scheme of things, we're still thankful that both of them are still here. But if they weren't here, just know that someone must pay. And everyone,
and it's not only in death, it's even in some traumatic experiences that women have. Their lawsuits that are coming for the medical unit are high. So from their perspective, a C-section is the best way to
because it's seen as a, what's it called?
Low risk.
A low risk
from their perspective.
Low risk procedure, low risk operation, and they can do it countless amount of times. But the risk of it going wrong and then getting sued and having to pay millions and millions is significant.
So they really rely on things like this continuous monitoring machine to give them an indication of what is the baby is doing. And the data shows that actually continuous monitoring is not necessarily as helpful as they make it out, but when they see that data, they have to act quickly, hence why they decided to have a C-section for us. But when they're looking at the results after the fact and presenting it back to us, he's like, I don't actually know why the C-section was necessary. We just saw his heart rate drop, and we don't know why his heart rate dropped. We can't give you that information. And I think for us, that really put us,
made us
a bit uncomfortable. It's like, okay, so you cut me up, but you don't know why, you don't know what the benefit of it was. I think from that perspective, that made us really come to the conclusion that these doctors, they have the best intentions, but it's not necessarily the best intentions for us. And so having a home birth actually enables us to be much more in control.
Yes, so that's it. And hopefully, look, we're doing this video before we have the child.
Yeah.
Let's hope that pride and arrogance does not, what's it? Pride
doesn't
leads
come
to
before the fall?
Yeah, pride comes before the fall. Let's hope it's not that scenario, and we're actually just utilizing our wisdom to be able to navigate our life well.
Yeah.
If it ends up in a C-section again, I think we're open to that.
Yeah, we're fine with that. We're going in with our eyes wide open this time. We feel educated, we feel well informed, but we just do want to position ourselves in the best case scenario to have a natural birth.
Yeah.
And it's really important to us. We've got the data that supports us, we've got the team that supports us, we've got the environment that is conducive to that. And this is something that families used to do back in the day. Like, it was such a common and familiar way to give birth. You actually only should go to the hospital when there's an issue or a problem. Like, why is labour or giving birth seen as something that is not part of the normal way of life? And so for us, it's really important that we stay at home for as long as possible. But if we need to go to the hospital, we go.
Yeah. God's in control.
Yes, he is. So we just wanted to share that insight, because we know C-section rates are on the up. A lot of women have trauma from the type of births that they have, where instruments are used to pull the baby out, and C-sections are happening, and you can't recover well, and repeated C-sections, all of this type of stuff. So we just wanted to share some insight on what we're learning on our journey as we go to deliver our second baby, and the decisions that we've made to hopefully have a successful vaginal birth. So Deku fam, we really hope that video was helpful. We're just taking you on the journey of how we are trying to have a natural birth. We honestly believe that interventions are at an all-time high, and it's causing a lot of trauma for women, for the families. The recovery is difficult. People having less children as a result of it. There's so many consequences. So actually, how can we play our part in trying to reduce that? And part of that is having a home birth. And hopefully this encourages other women to think about home birth and think about, challenging the health professionals, because you know your body best and you know that you can do this. So Deku fam, please be praying for us that everything goes well over the next few weeks, that baby Deku arrives safely and healthily. And we will see you in our next video. Bye!
Peace!